There's two tours, and the Thai Senior PGA, which was the one I originally joined sort of over 10 years ago, they will put maybe 4 or 5 tournaments a year on, maybe 6, depends on sponsorship. And then 5-6 years ago, the Thai Champions Tour was formed, sponsored by Singer. They have more tournaments. They'll have maybe 6, 7. This is not including one days as well. There's no set schedule as such. I'm going to one next week, which has been put forward 2 weeks, which was a bit of a surprise to all of us. So it's quite short notice. Tends to be you'll get a purse of a million, sometimes 2 million baht. You get 140 players show up, obviously mainly Thais. There's probably about 10 foreigners, and including maybe more actually, a couple of Indian guys, Malaysian guys and Japanese guys. The strongest players are the Thais.
Welcome to the Fruiting Body Podcast with your host, Brendan. We are here in Phuket, Thailand, and we have an absolute legend of a guest making his first appearance on the podcast, obviously before we move to Hua Hin. It is Matt Richardson. He is the golf pro over at Laguna, and he's also on the PGA Senior Tour. We're going to be talking a lot about Thailand golf, different courses, costs, prices, whether that's in Chiang Mai, Bangkok, Hua Hin, or down in Phuket, giving you guys some insight on what you can expect and where to go, maybe where are the best prices, and not only that, the best courses, and also so they're not so busy and too packed. We're not going to dig too much into the backstory, Matt, because we're going to jump right into it, all that golf information of golfing in Thailand, and try to give our insight. So without further ado, let's get this podcast started with Matt Richardson. Okay, first, thanks for coming today.
Thank you for inviting me, Brendan. It's good to be here, and thanks for that build-up. That was great.
Yeah, it's the coffee. See, I got to drink the whole class, and don't worry, now I crash and you do all the talking. We'll get right into it. I guess the first on the quick backstory. Where are you from originally? What brought you to Phuket?
Originally from Sheffield in England. Came here in '99 on a holiday with my brother, and we just fell in love with the place. Completely fell in love with it, and his idea was to come back as often as he could. My idea was to stay in England and work all summer, and try and come back and spend as much of the winter in Thailand as I could. And the first time I did that was for 5 weeks, which went in a heartbeat. So I kept extending. I stayed 3 months. And then from then on, the next 4 years or so, I came every winter for 3 months, 4 months. And I met a lot of guys through golf. One guy, a beautiful guy, Paul Gibson, who's since passed, but he was the owner of the Yorkshire Hotel, and he was an ex-professional golfer. Interesting guy. He was kind of a trailblazer when it came to equipment. He went out to, one of the first to go out to Japan and start investigating steel-headed drivers, because back then he used to make drivers out of wood. He made them for some very famous people, Bernard Langer and Nick Faldo, just to name a few. Yep. He made drivers for these guys, so he knew a lot. And I got friendly with him, and he eventually offered me a job, so I spent about 10 years working for him, sort of in his gym and organising. His hotel targeted golf groups, so I was kind of useful for that, to help him with the groups, and particularly in the gym.
Were you still coming back and forth between Thailand and Yorkshire at this point?
At that time, he just said, look, I'd come on a trip where I'd already bought a membership at Phuket Country Club, and I thought, I'm not sure I can keep doing this, coming back every winter. So I was going to sell the membership and just come back for the odd brief holiday. And I was about 3 days from getting on the plane, and Paul came up and offered me a job, and that was that. So I stayed and just went back once a year from then on.
When you finally actually moved to Thailand, how did you make that decision?
It was very easy. Very easy. England, particularly the weather's not, you get a couple of good months in the summer, but the rest of the time it's pretty miserable. So it was very easy for me to go, okay, even though I'm not getting a lot of salary, let's just get out there, live the life, hopefully sort of find something better.
Is there a big difference between being a golf pro and an instructor, also a fitness coach, whether it's in the UK and Thailand, in terms of dealing with the customers, or is it quite similar?
It's very similar. When a golf lesson's a golf lesson. The only difference is in Thailand, people tend to be sweating and too hot, and in England, they're freezing. So they might be complaining about not being able to turn because they've got all the waterproof clothing on and the big thick jumpers and gloves. So, but yeah, a lesson's a lesson really. Fitness, yeah, particularly in Patong, when I was doing the fitness, you know, you might get people who get a little bit carried away with the nightlife and
They don't show up the next
become
day.
a bit unreliable, yeah. You got to be a little bit, you need to be paid in advance, to be honest, if someone wants an early morning session.
Yeah, because you don't know if they're actually showing up.
That's right. If they don't show up, they've already paid, it doesn't matter. But
So were you doing that mostly on the Patong side because of the Phuket Country Club?
yeah, and because I was employed at back then at the Yorkshire, so that was right in the centre of Patong. So, you know, obviously working in that industry, you don't want to be going crazy on the nightlife. So I did, you know, once I started working there, you're not trawling up and down Bangla Road, that sort of thing. It's just finish work late, go home, chill out for an hour, sleep, get up and work. And so it's irrelevant. It became irrelevant where you live, whether you're right in the centre of the nightlife or not. If you're working, the nightlife doesn't really exist.
What year was that when you were getting settled in there?
Probably started working for them about 2004.
2004. Oh wow. Okay, so you've been over here pretty much almost 15 plus years.
20 years maybe. Yeah.
I mean, you've seen the development on the island. We've talked a lot about that on the podcast. Being in Patong and again teaching over at Phuket Country Club, and the ability to go between these golf courses, I mean, you could probably do it in 20 minutes. Can you touch on that a little bit about today, what that's actually like?
Yeah, that little 20-minute journey's, you know, it's 3 times longer now. If you're using a motorbike, you're taking your life in your hands, obviously. It's very dangerous. But it saves you a lot of time. You can go up the inside of the traffic or down the outside traffic, slip in and out of gaps. I've been riding motorbikes for 20 years now, so I'm a little bit experienced, but I've had a few spills. So you get a car, as we touched on earlier. If you're going to go somewhere at 6 a.m., 7 a.m. in the morning, okay, you're going to get there. And then, but when you want to come back, 5 in the evening, 6 in the evening, you might as well just chill out somewhere, wherever you are. If you're out of town on a golf course, you might as well stay there and have dinner and come back when it's all got a bit quieter, because it's just
you'll be in traffic all
so
day.
you just sat there looking at the traffic's change colour.
Yep. Some of the golf courses we have on the island, I mean, Blue Canyon, the lakes, the canyon, we have Red Mountain, Loch Palms, Phuket Country Club, and Laguna as well. All these different courses on the island. A lot of the tourists coming here and speaking with them, not just the expats where we get stuck in our Laguna bubble. Which courses do you usually recommend to kind of go on that tour? Do you give people a recommendation? Okay, start with Laguna, do a little Phuket Country Club, maybe even Mission Hills, or if friends are coming for a golf vacation, what recommendations would you give them?
Oh, for sure. Laguna, obviously, I'd recommend that, but then Blue Canyon, the Lakes course, probably the best greens on the island. The Canyon course, just the most challenging, fabulous layout. And I was a member there for 3 years, and I loved it. It was the 2 courses are my favourite courses on the island. But obviously, Red Mountain's a must, because that's so beautiful as well. And again, got its own different challenges. You know, there's some blind tee shots there. For the first time, you know, you're not really sure where to go, and you're a little bit hesitant, especially off the first tee, and the 18th for that matter. But then again, Mission Hills as well. That has got to be among the most beautiful on the island, visually. Looking over the bay, looking over the sea. All right, I think everybody knows the greens aren't as good as they could be. But when it's dry, the fairways and tees are as good as anywhere. You know, and it's just such a beautiful place and never very busy. And again, it's quite generous. You can open your shoulders there and spray it around a bit and you're going to be okay.
Yeah, I played it the first time with Norman 2-3 weeks ago, something like that. And it's a completely different course than what we're used to out here,
absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
I got used to the bunkers, and at one point I was hitting a 3-wood out of a bunker. I must have hit it like 230.
There's so much sand on that course.
Some holes I'd be in it 3 times.
Yeah,
because it was quite dry, so the greens would run.
Yeah,
I'm talking like, I remember a tee shot went like 320. I'm only hit it 260. It must have ran like 60 yards.
Oh yeah, at least.
But the greens reminded me of something from we have back home in Canada, where like you're up at cottage country and there's not really a greenskeeper there. So
right.
What's actually going on? Why are the greens in such poor condition?
I don't know. I think it's. I don't think they've had a proper greenskeeper for many years. You know, I think they're putting a bit more effort into it recently. But yeah, I don't really know the politics of it. The guy, the guy who owns it. He's very almost every time you go, you'll see him there. He's getting very old now, but he's a very friendly, wealthy Thai guy, and I think he loves the fact that it's his own private place, and he's very friendly to certain groups who use it on a regular basis. And I don't think he's really ready in his lifetime to let it develop into something more busy where they've got members and maybe a full team. That may happen, if he passes and if it goes to his family, they may. Well, who knows what they'll do with it? But at the moment, it's a little gem.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. There's some holes out there. You're right on kind of that Phang Nga Bay.
Absolutely,
it's spectacular.
Beautiful. You stand there. Even now, every time I go, and I'm not a selfie person at all. But when I go there, I always sort of take a little photograph and send it off to the more unfortunate people in England who can't play golf because it's under snow or heavy rain.
Comparing the differences of, obviously we understand this, the difference of playing golf in the UK versus Thailand. Can you explain how you adjust your game?
It's the grain on the greens is a big factor in Thailand. The greens in Thailand, the majority of them are very grainy, and you need to be more aggressive, I find, with your putts, particularly a short putt. You've got to be very firm with it. Be prepared to knock it a foot, 18 inches past. Because if you're trying to die it in from, say, 3 feet, it's going to catch bits of different grain. It could turn left one go, it could turn right the next. So you need to be you put with some authority in Asia because of the grain on the greens. And obviously if you're putting down grain, then they're like lightning. If you put it into the grain, they tend to be very slow. They all vary a bit. So the Lakes course, they keep theirs in great order. So you can, if you get the line, they're running quite quick normally, 9.5, 10. It stays on the line. However slowly it's rolling, it will hold its line. A lot of the other courses, because they're a little bit grainy. Laguna's very good. If you get a day where they've not cut the greens, then you might feel that, you've been cheated a couple of times because it's just turned at the last second.
What do you mean by grainy? Is it from them rolling, like whether it's chemicals they're putting on the greens or
no, I don't think the chemicals. It's just a type of grass they use. Yeah, that needs to be hardy. It needs to be able to stand the sun and the very wet season as well. So it's got to be quite a tough grass. I'm not an agronomist, so I don't know much about it. I just know that some days it destroys me. And
no, I know personally. I find and the holes get a bit mounded as well.
Yeah, they do. They tend to the grass here. So this is just from a layman's point of view. I don't know whether the root systems are very deep, so they tend to crumble around the edges of the lip of the hole quite quickly. Even though it's new holes, halfway through the day, you'll see one side of the hole starts to fall away a little bit. That tends to be the way the water sort of drains from the green, and tends to be not 100%, but 90%. That's the way the ball will turn. If you see a bit of wear on the right-hand side of the hole, it'll probably be a left to right putt.
Like right at the end when it's going in.
Yeah.
When you're choosing a club, let's say being in Thailand because of the humidity versus maybe it's maybe a little bit more dry in places like Las Vegas or Dubai. How big of a difference is in terms of the club that you're choosing based on this humidity here?
Yeah, I'm probably a club shorter in the UK. So I'll take, if it's a 6 iron, I'll be hitting 5 iron in the UK. Here, I just feel as though I get a little bit more distance. I think the warmth warms the ball up a bit, warms the clubs up. Everything's, you just get a little bit more out of it. Most of the time, the courses are quite soft. So then that sort of counteracts it. But you're not going to pitch into it. You're not going to hit into a green and pitch it sort of 20 yards short and and it's not going to roll on. You can do that with a 3-wood. It'll still stop here. UK, I tend to play in the summertime anyway. There you're hitting 50, 80 yards short of the green, and it just bounces and makes its way onto the green. So that again that's a different game. When you're just sort of estimating how far short of the green to land the ball, to stay on the green. Here you can hit a 3-wood or a long iron into most greens and they'll stop. UK, you do that, it's going to go 100 yards over the back.
When you get friends visiting from the UK or just in general, places outside of Thailand, is there anything that they're surprised by playing golf in Thailand?
Caddies usually. Mandatory caddies. Most people love that. Somebody to rake the bunkers after them and repair the divot and clean the club. And, So they're quite surprised about that. Most of my friends are not regularly getting caddies. Maybe the mate will caddy for them. It's an important match. But here, you've got one all the time.
And do they prefer that?
Well, it depends on the caddy. A lot of guys, old married guys, they're playing golf in the UK to get away from some nagging old lady. And here, if you're not lucky, you might get some nagging old lady following you around for 18 holes, carrying the bag. But very often you get some cheerful, smiley young lady who's, you get a bad shot, you look at her, she smiles, raises an eyebrow, and you kind of go, okay, forget it. It's more important things to worry about.
Do you have a go-to caddy that you'll usually choose before, or you just kind of pick one off the line?
In the low season, you get your pick. You can book caddies, and they're generally available. High season, these girls, particularly at Laguna, they're getting 3 rounds a day, and they've got regular customers who come in for the winter. So I just take whoever's waiting in the queue, really, rather than making a big deal about a caddy. It doesn't matter to me, really. I've played the course so many times. I'm not asking for them to read the greens. Some people who are not familiar with the course, the caddy's a real asset. They can say, this is a strong breaking left to right putt, and they'll even line up on the ball for them. So a lot of guys like that.
Yeah, and the caddies, for Thai people, they can make decent money being a caddy as well. I mean, 3 rounds a day, they're getting about 400 baht.
400 caddy fee, and they get
tip.
The most of that. Then they get a tip, which is a minimum of 4, but I don't think many people give them 400. I think they
between 5 to 1,000.
5
usually.
to 1,000, and tourists who come in who don't. I don't think they even care that they could give them 400 and it'd be acceptable. Most of them are just giving them 6, 7, even 1,000, and for them they think, well, somebody's been out for 4 hours with me in the baking sun. They deserve 1,000 baht, so they give them that.
Yeah, and they can be making 2,000 to 3,000 baht a day.
Yeah.
On a Thai salary, I mean, upwards of 60 to 90,000 baht. That's quite high.
Very high.
These types of positions as caddies, that's probably why you tend to see them there for 10, 15 plus years, especially at places like the lakes.
Sure, yeah. They can't get that money anywhere else, really. That you could go to university, get qualifications, and go and get a job in a bank, and a caddy's earning more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they've got the freedom as well they don't have to go to work. It's not mandatory that they go in every single day. They provide they let the club know they can take days off and afternoons.
Yeah, they're
off
like freelance contractors. Yeah, in that sense.
Yeah.
So. Pivoting into the PGA Senior Tour here in Thailand, and you're on a couple tours here. Can you talk a little bit about that experience? What exactly is going on within that tour? You're traveling once a week. There are tournaments. Where are you going? How does it work?
It's there's 2 tours. The Thai Senior PGA, which was the one I originally joined sort of over 10 years ago, they will put maybe 4 or 5 tournaments a year on, maybe 6, depends on sponsorship. And then 5, 6 years ago, the Thai Champions Tour was formed, sponsored by Singer. And they have more tournaments. They'll have maybe 6, 7. This is not including one days as well. There can be there's no set schedule as such. I'm going to one next week, which has been put forward 2 weeks, which was a bit of a surprise to all of us. So it's quite short notice. It tends to be they'll get a purse of a million, sometimes 2 million baht. You get 140 players show up, obviously mainly Thais. There's probably about 10 foreigners, and including maybe more actually, including a couple of Indian guys, Malaysian guys, and Japanese guys. The strongest players are the Thais. We've got probably 6 guys who are world class. They've had fabulous careers as before they were seniors, and they just win every week. It depends which one's hot. At the moment, there's a guy called Tamanun, and his last tournament he shot 67, 61, 67. He won it by 10. Then they had a one-day tournament the following week. He shot 62. This guy is red hot. But if it's not him, it'll be Prayad Mark Sang, or it'll be a guy called Udon. All these guys are more than capable. And for last year, Udon shot 62, 59, 65 in a tournament. I mean, it's just insane scoring.
And you're playing off the blacks.
No, they do it senior length, so we're playing them quite short. It could be as short as 6,003. It could be as long as 6,006.
Okay, so they're adjusting the tees based on... Yeah,
based on the fact that we're seeing it. Yeah. Obviously, these guys, the top 6, they're in a different league to the rest of us. And some of the guys are, you know, you look at him, you think, well, he doesn't look like a pro. And then you play with him, and he's got a strange-looking loose swing. But everything he hits stays in the middle of the fairway, and he hits the greens, and he puts really well, and all of it looks awful. You know, you'd have a field day as a coach trying to put these guys right, but you wouldn't, because they can, you know, their bad action still produces good shots. And
they've been golfing in Thailand their whole life. They know every course like the back of their hand.
They know all the caddies. They know, like next week there's a tournament, all the caddies will be booked for the Thai guys who have been doing this forever, and they know who they want to book. When you get up north, you get a lot of male caddies as well. We're also, generally, they're quite good golfers and keen golfers.
Up north, meaning Bangkok and Chiang Mai, or more Chiang Mai?
More sort of Nakhon Nayok area. We get a lot of golf there because it's a little bit off the beaten track. For the organisers, for the Thai Senior PGA, the TCT, obviously they need to get an affordable price to have the golf course for 4 or 5 days. And I think even for nothing. The courses are not particularly busy. So when they get 140 guys show up, it's mandatory buggies, so that's revenue for a start. And then, of course, we play a green fee, even though it's reduced, and caddy fees. And so it's work for the caddies, work for the golf courses, F&B. So it's in their interest to encourage the tournament. But, you know, getting on a real top course is a real treat, and not that easy. We do get to play Black Mountain once a year, which is always a real treat.
And Hua Hin.
Yeah, and that's always, I've never played it in bad condition. It's always in perfect condition.
And you're saying, so they get about $1 million per. Now, is that paid out amongst the top 10?
Top 60.
Okay.
So they have a cut after 2 days, and only 60 players go through. It used to be 60 in ties, which obviously then you could get 70 or 80 people, but now it's just 60 players.
So what would the top 3 players be? What would the purse be for top 3, 1, 2, and 3?
The winner will probably get 110, 120 maybe. Then he drops down pretty quick to 80. Then the third place guy will get 60. And then it just falls off a cliff then. I got 10th. We had one at Phuket Country Club recently, and that was a 2 million baht. And I got 10th there, which after tax, it's about $1,000. Mm-hmm. Well, for me, that was great, because I was...
But 30,000 baht, give or take. Okay.
So that was after tax. And that was fine for me, because I was staying at home. There's no hotels, there's no travelling particularly. But obviously, next week, I've got 9 hours to drive to Hua Hin overnight, then probably another 4.5 hours to drive to Cabin Buri. Then you've got the hotel for 4 nights, play the golf, then you've got to do it all, then drive all the way back.
What do you think your total expenses would be on that trip?
30,000 baht.
30,000 baht, hotels, food, travel.
Everything.
And are you paying entrance fee into these tournaments, or you're on the tour, they let you in?
No, it's a 3,000 baht entrance fee.
And that gives you 4 days. And and that's contingent, you don't get cut off or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, you pay your 30 grand, you've got, then you've got a fee every day, reduced green fee and caddy fee every day. So that could be, let's say, 1,000, maybe 1,200 every day to play. So you've got that. Then you've obviously your food. I honestly sometimes, particularly if I play badly, I think, why do I put myself through this? Because 2 of the days you're going to be out getting up at 4:30, 5 o'clock to go for an early tea time. You need to get some food. You need to warm up. You need to have a stretch. Then you need to practice on the range, get on the tee. Heart's banging out your chest sometimes, and depending on what you're looking at, where the water is, where the hazards are. But after the game, if you played well, you can always tell the people that played well, they're buzzing. They want to talk you through every hole. The ones that have played bad just want to
go home,
or just go and hit some balls, or go and do some chipping, or just get out there.
Do you think a lot of people on the tour, or the Thais in particular, at this stage, is it more of a hobby, like just let's go out and have some fun? I mean, they're not looking at it as a job or anything in that sense.
Most of them do it like me. It is a lot of fun. There's some adrenaline, there's some excitement, there's a build-up to it. You're trying to get your game in shape. You're desperately trying to play well and not make mistakes. And actually, that can work against you if you're really trying too hard not to make mistakes. You've got to let it go. You've really got to just try and swing freely and not worry what might happen and just hit it. But, most of the guys, it's a social thing for them. Over the years, we've got to know a lot of the Thais, and they're, some lovely people, some friends. They take the wives with them. You know, they make it a bit of a, like I do. I take my girlfriend with me, and for us, it's like a little holiday. She caddies for me. She knows all my friends now. We all go out to dinner at night, and we all feel each other's pain or celebrate each other's victories. You know, it's cool, really. It's really nice.
Playing in these more higher level competitions, obviously, especially in Thailand, is there a different strategy or style the Thais play? If you were to compare that to a Westerner, are they more aggressive? Are they less aggressive?
No, I think the good players are just as. A good player does tend to be aggressive, smart. You know, they don't take unnecessary risks. But when I mean aggressive, I mean they will go for pins tucked away sometimes. That I would think, I wouldn't go for that. This course next week, there's 4 probably risk and reward holes, par 4s, where you are risking a quadruple bogey, one slight mistake, or an easy chance at a birdie. And it's whether you want to hit it over 220 yards of jungle and water to cut the corner of a dog leg, you know, and or do you just want to hit a rescue club down the corner there and have a 5-iron in? But a lot of these Thai guys, 2 or 3 spring to mind. There's one that's probably a 265 carry to reach an island green, par 4. It's a dog leg all the way around. I know a lot of guys who just go for that.
And then and that's like you said, in Thailand, the green, you have that moisture, the greens are softer, so a 265 driver, it should hold up a bit.
If they hit the green, they're fine. But you know, it's water left, right, and short. And the options, if you're short, the dropping options are not great. It's pretty much where you might as well just re-tee. Because there's no drop zone or anything like that. I'm even worrying about it now, and I'm not going to be playing it till Wednesday.
This style of golf, at this age when you're playing the senior tour, did you have a different style when you were younger? Has it adjusted over the years?
Yeah, I'm not as long as I used to be. You know, I probably lost 10 yards in a club, but I don't want to jinx myself, but I do feel that all these years of competing, I feel more comfortable in tournaments now because I'm kind of used to it. I don't get so nervous that I can't release the club, I can't swing it. You know, I do remember times where I can feel the tension as I'm swinging down towards the ball, and you feel your shoulders tense up and your arms tense up, and you almost pull away from the ball, catching thin shots. And now, not so much. You do get the nerves sort of leave you pretty quickly. Once you get the second tee, you're usually all right.
You play so much golf, you get beat up so much on the course over the years that mentally you've kind of given up as well.
You do, and you've just got to cling on to the hope that even if you start very badly, you trust in yourself and your own ability that you think, okay, well, I can probably improve this. You know, on the back nine, if you've gone out in maybe 3 or 4 over, it's not good. But you could, and you know that you're capable of coming back 3 or 4 under, so you could walk off. You know, Tamminen was a great example the other week. He shot 84 the first round, around Royal Hua Hin, and he still finished in the top 6. So his second 2 rounds were just fabulous. You know, so you just got to keep fighting. You know, it does knock you down, this game, but you just got to get back up. Otherwise, you might as well pack it in.
Yeah, I don't even keep score anymore. I look at it at the end. I don't deal with it. You've played many courses in Thailand. What is your favorite course in all of Thailand?
I always used to say it was Chiang Mai Highlands. I played it many years ago. We were up there for the Thai Senior Open. And we weren't playing that course in the Thai Senior Open, but we just had some time. So we went to play it as a social day. And I played good. I was with some really good friends. And it was just a stunning course. I just remember thinking, there's a lot of trouble on this course, but you can see it. There weren't blind shots. You stood on the tee, maybe slightly elevated. You look down and there's 15 bunkers. But at least you could see them. You know where to hit it to avoid them. Someone told me recently it wasn't in such great condition, but back then it was really good. So that was a real favourite. But the Canyon course is always my favourite. Yeah, in Phuket, that's always my favourite course. Yeah.
You've played it obviously recently after the renovation as well.
I haven't actually.
You haven't?
No, I haven't had time. We've been in high season, so we've been a bit too busy, and obviously they're busy as well.
It's quite tight, the approaches. I always say like this, the lakes is great, but I feel the Canyon course, you need to almost be a single-digit handicap to not want to blow your brains out, just because it is quite long at certain points.
It is.
You got to play with a bit of strategy, and especially the approach shots. Everything becomes so tight and protected, not just by bunkers, but by forest and water as well.
Sure, yeah. It took me years before I shot under par off the blacks there. Years. I was playing. I don't know. Yeah. I would think, for me, the first few years, if I got round in under 75, I thought I'd done great. You know. But
well, the index isn't it 74 there?
Yeah.
Off the blacks, the index is what, 75
Yeah.
plus probably.
Yeah, well, when I was a member, I was quite a bit younger then, so we'd play off the blacks all the time. But once I got past 60, I was kind of, no, I don't really need that. How come if Dustin Johnson's hitting 8-iron into most of his par fours, why am I going in with a rescue club? I might as well go forward a bit and have the same iron in as Dustin does, you know.
Yeah.
But you just have to. As you get older, I think you just have to move forward a little bit. Just move forward, move to the next tee up, and make sure you can enjoy it.
Is there a signature hole in all of Thailand that's maybe not even your favorite, but that most people would recognize, like this may be one of the best holes in the whole country?
I go to Canyon probably. The 13th, the signature hole at the Canyon is probably the 14th of par 3, which is an island green shaped in, like Thailand, shaped in the country of Thailand. That's a stunner, and it really messes with you because it's windy and it's a very narrow front. So for me, I always thought that the strategy there was to hit it to the wider part of the green at the back, even if it was a front pin, so you've got much more room for error. But the one before the 13th, that sort of gets your heart rate up a bit.
Is that the Canyon you got to clear?
Yeah, you got to drive over that.
But I did it from the blues. I think you got to carry 230, 240.
Yeah,
carry.
probably not even that.
Yeah, it looks deceiving.
It does.
It makes you feel like you got to hit it 290, and
absolutely. If you get too,
you go too far.
You go too far. You're out of fairway.
I've been in the bunker there.
Yeah,
because like you feel like you want to kill it, and then other members there will say, "No, honestly, just hit a nice clean drive, and you're okay."
You're okay.
I think maybe different off the blacks though.
Different off the blacks, and I mean, I've played with lots of people who've are very long and they've gone for it. You know, and there are people, if you've got that 290 through the air tee shot, which I've not, you can go for the green.
Yeah, they have that big tree kind of protecting it. So, you think it's about 290 to hit that green?
It needs to stay in the air at least that long.
Yeah, I try to aim 20, 30 yards right of the bunker. Yeah, and once I've hit it almost into the forest. Yeah, but you don't need to hit it. You just got to hit it clean.
Just got to get it. Nice solid shot, middle thing, and you're only going to have sort of, if you've got 80 yards left, that's good. But then the next challenge is getting below the pin, because it's a very severe slope. Yeah,
and very protected by its bunkers.
If you go past the pin, your next putt could be off the green. Yeah,
because you get, even with that good drive, I think you're in like 100 to 80 yards. Like you're not, so you think, I'll just hit a soft 52 or. Yeah. And it's like, it's not that easy because there's so much going on around it. And that's what I mean about the Canyon. The approach shots are so well protected there that even when you get in that 80, 100 yards, it's not that simple.
It's not simple. And the greens are massive. So hitting the greens, that's not an instant plus. Because if you're at the front of the pins at the back, you're definitely in 3-putt, 4-putt country. So you've got to get it up close to the pin because the greens are so big and very slopey.
Jumping into the price differences of golf around Thailand, comparing to maybe more economical courses where it's not as expensive, where would they be located? And then bringing that right up to the cost of golf in Phuket. So if people are watching and they want to know where can they find golf at a better rate, where would you be traveling to in Thailand versus places like Phuket, which are probably the most expensive golf in all of Thailand?
It probably is, apart from the real exclusive ones in Bangkok. But it is quite expensive. High season, you're looking at, in English money, £120 to play golf. I suppose if you look at it from another point of view, you're getting a buggy, you're getting a caddy. If you went to play a course in the UK and you got a caddy included and a buggy included, then you'll be up there in that price range as well. But it is expensive. If you want to play, you've got to have a good budget. If you want to play every day in Thailand or 5 days a week in Thailand, you're looking at £500 to to play golf 5 times a week.
Unless you know a member or,
You get
then it can become more reasonable.
You can, yeah.
And even the memberships at Laguna, they're not that expensive. Especially if I always recommend people, like if you're going to get memberships in Laguna, go directly to the office and see who's selling them, because you can get pretty good rates as well.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, compared to, again, you don't want to be spending that 3,000-4,000 baht every single time you golf.
No, it's the only way. If you're going to be here for a while,
Yeah.
you've got to get a membership, because then you're paying caddy fee and caddy tip, so you're still paying £1,000.
Or if you have a Thai driver's license, then you can, or a work permit, then you can be considered a resident.
Yeah.
And it's, I think, 50% off at that point, and then much cheaper in low season. So the cost, again, in Phuket, you're coming in 4,000 to 5,000 baht a round if you're a tourist.
Yeah.
What is the cost typically when you're going out to like places like Hua Hin?
Hua Hin, you can it's half of that for a lot of the courses. You know, if you go to Pineapple Valley or to Black Mountain, then obviously you're going to be paying Phuket prices. But you are getting stunning golf courses. But there's less pricey courses around, and a lot of them. And I played a little gem last year called Dragon Hills.
Okay.
So it was a little bit of a detour. We were on our way to Bangkok anyway, and it's a little detour a little bit to the west, but it's in the middle of nowhere, and it's a great layout. It's a little rough around the edges, but the greens are pretty good. And I would recommend that, Dragon Hills. And
so not too far from, maybe an hour and a half or something?
Yeah, about an hour and a half up the road out of Hua Hin, just a little bit west. Easy to find, very friendly people. We were there. I remember they gave us a food voucher that was included in the green fee. The food was great afterwards as well. So I think there was 2 of us. We played golf for about 1,500, 2,000 baht for the 2 of us.
Yeah, in Thailand, once you get outside these golf tourism locations like Hua Hin or even in Bangkok, and you start to go outside these cities, the golf gets very, very cheap. I've always wondered who's building that course out there. You think it's just a local Thai person that's even built it for himself?
It can be. A lot of the time it's the Army and the Navy and the Air Force. They have their own courses. A lot of Army courses in Thailand. Some can be really good, and a lot of them can be a bit rough. But it's golf. You know, you just take it as it is. Okay, the greens might not be fast and it might be a little bit tatty and weedy, but it's a game of golf. And I played one in Buriram with a friend of mine who lives up there, the Army course, and it was really rough. In fact, you went off the fairway, he said, be careful, there's a lot of rocks around here. You don't want to take a swing at that ball and find that it's on top of a rock. But the layout was quite testing, and it was good fun, and it cost us nothing, 300 baht or something.
Yeah, well, you'd think out there, I mean, this is Isan country, so everything's probably quite flat. Yeah. And also they're getting scorched with the sun all day as well in these farmlands. Yeah. You're playing at, is it the Royal Hua Hin, or what is the name of this?
We played that last.
This is the oldest course, or it's the King's course?
The oldest course in Thailand. It is tough. It is one of the toughest courses I've ever played, due to the firm conditions and the difficulty, and they don't maintain it like Laguna or Blue Canyon, etc. But the layout is as good as you'll find. It's just a fabulous layout. Amazing mature trees on there. It's not about palm trees. It's just these.
So what is it? The fairways are just very firm?
Very firm and sparse. Not that much grass. So you can hit it in the middle of the fairway and find you're on a bare patch that's just compacted mud.
And the greens as well?
The greens are very grainy. They've got much better. The first time I played it was 10, 15 years ago, and it was really rough. But now it's much, much better. But I would recommend playing it, but have a lot of patience. You know, if you miss a green and you run and it runs down a bank into the bottom there, you're not getting manicured grass down there. You're getting tree roots and prickly bushes and trees and all sorts of stuff. It may be unplayable. You've got to hit your targets there. They're small greens, very, very narrow fairways. And you got to hit them. Otherwise, you're chipping out and making bogey every hole.
I'm good with that.
Yeah. But if you can keep it in play, you can make a score. But I always play it. And if I lived there, I would play it every week. But when you come off, it just batters you. It's so tough. You've got to play every shot in the bag. You've got to be able to hit it off bare pan. You've got to hit it out of a bit of rough. You know, in our tournaments, it's so difficult for the tournament officials to decide which is fairway and which is rough. They will not put placing on it. You don't get clean and place there. So whatever lie you get, you've got to hit that shot. You know, it's a real test.
Yeah, I play most courses. I play clean and play. So we're not pros here, and especially sometimes in Laguna, get hole 9 get a bit watery, or you're in a bare, you're basically on sand or dirt.
Yeah.
But again, when you're playing these tournaments, it probably can get quite frustrating.
Oh, it does. Yeah, you can, because you can. I hit a drive the other week down a par 5. I think it was number 14, 15, and I had a Garmin watch on, and it told me that the ball had travelled at 370 yards, and I hit it good, just to the right of centre of the fairway. When I found the ball, it had meandered its way. Obviously, I carry the ball off that tee probably 260, so it had run at least another 100 yards off the fairway to the right, behind a tree, on a tree root. And, I was just had to try and get it out. The tree root made it shoot straight up in the air, almost hit me in the face. But luckily, it rattled around in a tree and ended up just on the fairway, and I could hit the green from there. But that could have been anything. That could have gone backwards into the trees. That could have easily ended up being a 7 or an 8. And I was down. When I hit the tee shot, I was down for the tee quickly. I was really pumped with the shot. When I got there, it was a disaster. So, it does test your patience. On another day, that could have bounced left, and I could have been going into the green with a 7 or an 8 iron on a par 5.
Yeah, it's, where was that? Mission Hills, yeah. It was running a lot there, and sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't.
Yeah, it reminds me of links golf in the UK. You can bang one down the fairway and think, wow, that's it. And you get there, and you're absolutely dead in a pot bunker or in some rough or whatever.
Can you explain a little bit about if people are coming to Thailand and they're looking for a golf coach or golf instructor, and maybe they just want to, get that feel before they go out for maybe 4 days of golf, or they're here with their wife or kid, and just give them a quick lesson. When someone's coming to you as a brand new golfer, what is immediately your assessment? How do you start to begin to work with these new golfers?
If we've got time and if they're up for it, I like to do a TPI assessment, because I am qualified in TPI, and it's a 16 movement position test. So you just test the flexibility of people, and if they're lacking in a bit of flexibility or a bit of strength, or maybe they don't separate their upper and lower body very well. So you can test that to begin with, and really to get someone out on a teaching bay and start asking them to do things that they're physically not capable of doing, then you're up against it. So if you can test them first and find out, okay, this guy's got limited shoulder range of movement, or he doesn't really separate very well his upper and his lower body, then you've got to work around that. Either give them some exercises to do to increase that assessment, flexibility, or work around it. If someone's got a big flying right elbow, it may be because they haven't got very good shoulder mobility. So then you work around that, and there's been some tremendous golfers, Jack Nicklaus and Fred Couples to name two, who've got kind of flying right elbows. Well, it didn't really hold them back. But I think if someone was trying to teach them not to let that elbow fly, it might have had a very detrimental effect on their career. So you need to work around people's capabilities. So that's the thing I like to do most, is if I can assess someone first. Very often people don't understand that. They don't have the patience for that. They just want to get on with it and try and learn to hit the ball. So, everyone's different. Sometimes you get young, strong guys. We get a lot of Russian people who are new to golf and really are enthusiastic. But some of the guys are very, they're very fit, very strong, and they just want to kill that ball, and they're swinging at it so hard. Sometimes you've got to step back and let him tire himself out before you can say, okay, can we start the lesson now? Let's just start with a little, chip sort of swing, get you just making contact with the ball before we start this full swing, because some of them have never touched a club, but they just want to swing away. And, in our academy, we've got holes in the ceiling and holes in the door, and, they may say, which you assume they've understood what you said, and you step towards them and they make a swing. So it can be dangerous as well.
Yeah, because they're not understanding it.
They're not really understanding. They're just saying, and you walk in to make an adjustment, and you can be, I've been hit on the foot.
Yeah, if someone was new to golf and they were coming in, or I'm not talking about extremely green and new. Maybe they've been playing for a few years.
Yeah.
But they're shooting over 100 on average, let's say. Would you recommend people coming and practicing with you on their swing, or would you take them to putting or chipping, especially on courses like Laguna, where that actually might save a lot of strokes compared to the swing itself, which can be a challenge to rebuild within 2 days?
It can. So, rebuilding someone's swing, it's a long process. And if they're only here on holiday, You know, you might just show them a few little shots that might help. You know, I find a lot of people who really struggle with chipping, particularly not accomplished golfers, very often they're using far too much wrist. So you try and cut out the wrist action. And you can show them, like a lot of guys, show them the shot where you can just use a rescue club to putt with off the green. So say, for instance, on 13 at Laguna, if you hit that green, it runs back down the slope and you've got that quite a difficult chip. You're chipping up high up to a green. And for someone to do that who's not that good with a very
60.
lofted club, so just give them show them the rescue putt. Okay, just stand over your rescue, choke down it, make a putting stroke, clip the ball. It'll just have enough loft on it to just get it on that green, and that might save them several shots. You know, they could be thinning it through the back or duffing it a foot. They just hit it with the rescue club, gets it on the green, 2 putts and away. You know, little things like that can help them.
Yeah, I try to use that hill as a backboard.
Yeah,
That's what I aim at.
yeah, me too.
Because especially if the pin's at the bottom and the pin's at the back, I can't get anything to stick back up there.
No, I mean
Even if I'm 120 out.
Yeah, a lot of people will just laser the pin. So they've got 120. So then they go on that distance. Well, actually, you don't want to hit that 120 because he's going to hit. If it hits pin high, it's gone over the back.
Yep.
So you actually want to hit that 110. You know, so that you just catch the top edge. But depending on how far back you are, if you're not going into that hole with a very short iron and you hit it properly, you're probably not going to stay on the green.
Yeah.
And if you hit the front and the pin's on the back, yeah.
Yeah, I try to. Wherever the pin is, I'm trying to hit the backboard. So at least I'm on there.
Yeah.
And if it is at the back, I'm like, okay, well, I'm probably going to 3-putt this, but I'm on there. I'm okay.
Yeah. If you're a high handicap, you just got to think, okay, this is a low stroke index. You know, number 1, number 13, number 15,
17.
5, 17. 5 is not a bad score on there.
Yeah.
You know, 15, for instance, I'll take people out. Those bunkers, it's, you know, you can take any number out of those bunkers on 15. So if it's a high handicapper and they're going in with a longish club, play as a par 5. Just pitch it short, chip on, make a 5, move on. That's a good score on there. You know,
that's usually how I try to play that
Yeah.
hole. I hit a drive and then I lay it up before the bunker.
Yeah.
I just try to get it on the green in 3,
Yeah.
and then if I go up and down, great. If
Yeah.
not, whatever.
Yeah, just course management.
Yeah.
You know, try not to throw shots away. 7 as well. Right now it's running. You're getting pretty close. It's tempting a lot of people to try and get on 7 in 2. But that's a narrow green. If you're going in with a rescue or a 3-wood, chances are you're not going to stay on it. You're going to go over the back anyway.
Yeah,
so
I aim at the bunker on 7.
Yeah, just aim it
Hope for the
left.
best.
Chip on.
So just before we wrap it up, this big camera, I'm going to kick it over to you. If anyone is coming to Phuket and you want to reach out to Matt, maybe you're looking for lessons or you are living here, what is the best way that they can reach out to you?
WhatsApp or my website is mattrichardson.golf. I can be found there.
Okay.
Just send me a message either on WhatsApp. All my details are on Matt
Email,
Richardson.
everything's on there.
Everything's on there.
Okay,
so
I'll
contact me.
put that website and links down in the description. So if you want to reach out to Matt, it'll also be pinned in the comments. You can send him a message if you're looking for lessons, especially in Phuket. And you're able. Are you primarily just over at Laguna? That's where they would be getting the lessons.
Primarily, yeah, but it could be anywhere they choose. It could be Blue Canyon or Mission Hills, whatever they like. Yeah.
Okay, well, that wraps up another episode of the Fruiting Body Podcast. Thanks a lot for watching. Leave any comments. Let us know what are your favorite holes and golf courses around Thailand as well. We'd love to check them out. So thank you for watching, and that's all. All right, see you.